Live from Newton, Iowa, welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flight TV, where this afternoon we are set to go racing once again. We're racing action here on Monday night. Welcome once again to the High Tide Racing Premier Series, where today we get set to go racing at the Iowa Speedway. My name is Ola Remble alongside Justin Prince, bringing you all the action from start to finish on this fantastic Monday afternoon. It's set to be quite a wild ride for a lot of drivers out here today, as it is 200 laps of racing action around this short track, just under a mile in length. Bound to be a fun ride, Justin, as we get set to go racing for round number 6.
It's going to be a challenging one for some of the drivers because from some of the other series we've seen come here in the past couple weeks, a little bit tricky to make passes around here these days, but it's still going to be important over the course of this run tonight to make sure you don't make too many mistakes, especially when it comes to 200 lapper like tonight.
200 lap stage coming in at 45. Going to make this a true test of endurance with a lot of drivers here. It could be a long afternoon for quite a few contenders here at the office. We take a look at the point standings as well. Into racing action here this afternoon. Jaden Hopp, no surprise, he is up top yet again with 2 wins so far on the boards. Michael Thorpe Jr. coming hot off of graduation season. He is looking to be pouncing back in the number 2 spot of the points, but he is still 16 out, so a little bit of work for Michael Thorpe Jr. to do if he wants to reel the gap in. And then, of course, I still remain on Wesley Triplett, another driver that we've been keeping tabs on over the course of the season. He's had pace, but I think has still yet to show some of that all-out domination that we know that Dummy Racing number 74 is capable of.
I agree with that because he's been kind of one of those drivers that we've seen been quick, just hasn't been able to necessarily get things fully consistently planted. But it's only 5 races in. There is one thing of note for him. A lot of his teammates have done pretty well, the overall standings too. But Iowa, it's the question on not just about the short run here, but who's going to get the long run out of all of these drivers here tonight to establish their points hauls.
12 to 14 degrees banked in the corners. It is progressive banking here at the Iowa Speedway to make it a true challenge. This track course opened 20 years ago, so celebrating their 2-decade anniversary of action. And while this track was looking like it may have been in a little bit of jeopardy in recent years, it is still back and ready for more with, of course, plenty of series still out here and racing to put on quite a show for us here on the afternoon. So overall, you have to imagine this race could look to be an exciting one. The sun will be setting as we go racing into the darkness here this afternoon. Right now, 92 degrees Fahrenheit, but that track temp only going to cool from here.
Absolutely, especially with us under the lights. It has been trending lately, though. Stay about equal to where it starts, if not a little bit higher, because of the amount of laps turned around by drivers. We might see a couple laps of fluctuation or a couple degrees throughout the evening, but it's starting pretty hot for a night race. We'll see if it stays up there in towards the 90s or at least the high 80s.
So a look to how this one is going to be shaken up as a whole. Obviously, we'll take a look at the fast times. This is throughout the practice session leading up to today, right? It's been a bit of an interesting one, and you talk about Dummy Racing showing some strength here. Ryan Fleck right now topping the practice charts as it stands with Wesley Triplett right behind him. Could this finally be the day that we see this team really show what they're capable of? They had a good run in National Super Speedway. It was a poor strategy call that threw that race away for them. Will it be a similar situation here tonight is the big question right now.
Not quite sure how this could go, especially with the way things have trended in a lot of races, but it just straightforward depends on how well you're able to avoid any trouble and how you're able to search around for moves. This track used to have the top line to really build up some of the runs through 3 and 4. Not necessarily the case these days with the newer pavement down around the bottom of the circuit. So for a lot of the drivers tonight, it's going to be, can you make sure you get track position but also keep it?
And, of course, you still have the unknown variables, right? Our rookies in the form of Stephen Richardson and Nathaniel Lee, both with only 3 starts when you combine their stats together. One of them, of course, Lee, racing from Dover, but was not able to race until this week as well. So Lee could be an interesting factor in this one as well, particularly through the tail end of the field where they might find themselves later on this afternoon. But we'll see how this one's all going to shake up as racing action set to kick off here from the Iowa Speedway yet again here on Green Flag TV. So coming on home, it's going to be the likes of Ty Marasco starting this race from pole position. Coming off of a hot streak win, he is going to look to start from pole. Wesley Triplett alongside him on the front of the grid by just 15 thousandths of a second. Row number 2, holding Benjamin Lacey. He is joined by Ryan Fleck. Top the practice charts. Right now, top 5 for the race as well. Nathaniel Lee, the rookie, will be riding out from the number 5 spot. He'll be alongside Brandon Bogaski, starting 6th this afternoon outside of row 3. Row 4, holding Dustin Pink, the season 2 champion, will be alongside yet another rookie, Connor LaFrance. LaFrance has not made a lot of friends this season so far, and he might be on the lookout for some retribution this afternoon. Top 10 closed out by Michael Thorpe Jr., again, fresh out from graduation. He is alongside Nick Nickerson on row 5.
Row number 6, that's where Larry Bell will start alongside Connor Gibson's 31 machine for BC Sim Sport. Throw it back a row, that's where you'll find Kevin Foster. Katie Garjewel will try and see if he will be able to make the tires stick tonight from 14th position. 15th is where you'll find Brian Dees tonight. Bob Berry is 16th in the 75 machine. Then down to 17th, Wesley Peebles will have a lot of time to pick up half a second off along with Stephen Richardson. We're down in row number 9. Row 10, Robert Lukens, who is higher up in warm-up, and James Yerger are going to have to make up a lot of ground.
And from there down the field, it's Jaden Hopp, the 2-time defending champion. 2 wins so far in the season. He'll again start from the tail after not qualifying. He starts 21st alongside his teammate Sean Williams in 22nd. Nicholas Carreso with the KFC Ford F-150 will be on the inside of row number 12. Down to 23rd alongside Scott Shire. And then closing out the field, it's Eddie Hagge. He is alongside Heil van Kemen out of the Netherlands, one of our few Dutch contenders here on Green Flag TV. Yet again making a start, this time though from the bottom of the barrel. 1 lap to go before we get this show on the road. What do you reckon is in store for us here? Will we see Ty Marasco go for that top spot, or could Dummy Racing finally rally and get that result as they're lined up 1, 2, 3 on the outside?
Is it hard to say? I think James is going to do it again, or Jaden, I should say, Jaden Hopp from the back to front. It just feels like one of those types of races with Iowa with the cautions. There's an opportunity. So I don't think you count out your points leader. But outside of that conversation, I think it's a good spot for someone like a Triplett or a Bogaski maybe to break on through. We've seen solid speed in the mid-runs and these types of tracks. Will that carry over tonight? We'll see.
Coming around, turn numbers 3 and 4. As always, we're happy you join us for Race in Action on this fantastic Monday afternoon. It's a beautiful day in corn country as we work our way out of turn number 4 and into the restart zone. Marasco guns it. Green flags out. We're racing at Iowa. Working out of turn numbers 3 and 4. Marasco just now getting clear, but look at Wesley Triplett quickly making the cut back to the inside line, trying to challenge for the lead into turn number 1. Triplett's strong with that over-under line, but Marasco with the higher bank and up top might be able to fend them off as they work their way down the back chute for the second time tonight.
Also coming off a win last night over at Indy when it comes to Blazing Pedals. Smoke in front of them. That's okay for now, though, but it is Triplett who's able to clear on by for the race lead. Kept the inside going, kept the momentum in the 74, trying to go where we expect him to be. Up front and stay there.
Oh, trouble behind. Look out as Nathaniel Lee turned off the nose of Michael Thorpe Jr. and one of the rookies, only 1 start to his name, into the inside wall. Tough break for the driver whose second start in the High Tide Race League, going to get off to another rocky start.
Welcome to Iowa. The over and under some of the drivers we're talking about was 7.5. Apparently, Michael Thorpe Jr. doesn't know what the half means when it comes to the line, but we'll say this. Speaking of racing lines, you'll see a lot of these drivers converge coming off of turn 2 a fair bit in terms of some of them pushing up the track. If you don't track up to the wall, causes problems. In this case, he was tracked up and already side by side. I think Ping squeezed him up. Michael Thorpe Jr. had no place to go after he ricocheted off the wall. ping. Didn't really give too many breaks there to Lee.
No, sir, he did not, and that is going to send Nathaniel Lee into the inside wall. A couple of trucks down pit road, including Dustin Ping. He is joined by Larry Bell and others from behind. I'm seeing Bell, Yerger, Williams, Venkaman, Caressel, and Lee all into the box. No surprises for the driver of the number 77, as he's got quite a bit of damage, especially I'd imagine on the right side of that truck, as he smoked it with the right front and then struck the right rear as well. So he's going to be down for some pretty extended repairs.
Yeah, that truck's going to require a fair bit of repairs to get back up to speed, even with the aerodynamics not as big per se maybe at Iowa. But that will help with the couple drivers add a couple tenths of a gallon to the tank just in case for the long runs. After all, with it being a 200 lapper tonight, you only have 3 tire sets to pits tonight, Nolan, keep in mind. So there's not really much leeway. Here's Dobbs. Here's a look, though, on what happened. Michael Thorpe Jr. mentioned no place to react here with right there the pop. It came within less than a quarter of a second. You're not getting much done in less than a quarter of a second.
And you saw something else I think is worth noting, right? That fierce glare coming through the windshield of these drivers with the sun currently setting behind turn numbers 3 and 4. Going to make seeing a serious hazard for a lot of drivers. We can see it as you ride with Benjamin Lacey. He's further up the racetrack, right? That is not something you want to be seeing when you're trying to race it out here at over 120 miles an hour.
It's definitely going to be a little bit of an annoyance, I guess you can say, coming into this one. But you kind of just have to go by and deal with it. There's no other way to put it other than everyone else is doing the same thing. Can you do it yourself is the huge part.
Field will continue to make their way around this racetrack. Caution number 1 coming out, less than 5 laps into this one. As we will stack it up 2 by Ryan Fleck, yet again, behind his dummy racing teammate Wesley Triplett. However, Brandon Bogaski has been broken up. He's got Michael Thorpe Jr. between himself and his 2 teammates.
Yeah, I think teamwork obviously not going to be the biggest thing, but it will help in terms of feedback, what they could do. Too many stalls out to stack onto the problem though for Lee, so if it rains, it pours.
That's tough. That is a tough break. Came out with a top 5, finished 4th at Dover earlier this season for his one and only start. Not off to a good start today. I guess the silver lining is, hey, the penalty came early, so has a chance to bounce back and recover this a little bit further down the line. We'll work our way out of turn numbers 3 and 4 into the restart zone. Wesley Triplett this time, the control truck. Green flag is back in the air. We're underway once more.
Nicely done for the control truck to begin things off. Already a little bit of dardiness though for side-by-side for 3rd. Got Lacey trying to keep that run going, and Michael Thorpe Jr. knows he has no time to waste. Inside 3 wide.
Diving down the inside of Ryan Fleck and Benjamin Lacey. Connor LaFrance also in the melee as Thorpe tracking up from the inside groove. LaFrance gonna go from the wall almost halfway down to the apron, trying to follow Thorpe through on the inside line. Thorpe's managed to punch his way into the top 5. One truck in the middle of this, I believe it's Caden Gargiulo, having some major connection problems that is causing a bit of a scramble in the midfield.
Yeah, and a few drivers scraping up the wall. Up the racetrack, a couple drivers went there as a result of some of the chaos that built up with connections. Everyone else just trying to make sure to survive through to 1 and 2 this time.
And Caden Gargiulo evidently got, he evidently had, Mulray got turned somewhere on the racetrack for that connection difficulties, because I'm showing that he had a repair flag required, although we never saw the incident in question, and we're not going to be able to get a look at it because he wasn't in this realm of existence when it happened. But that tells me he blinked out and someone ran him over because they had no idea he was there.
Possibly, and just like that, if you get a connection flag like that, you're not allowed back on the racetrack until it stabilizes. He's still dealing with a high ping, so he's going to have to deal with that for the next little bit. Now, all that being said, Everybody's racing pretty hard here. Offset 2 and 3 wide, but some of the drivers were topped off previously. Then, of course, Peebles trying to hold back some of those drivers. He is one of the last drivers not to a pit.
Wesley Peebles, a bit of a standout name as well when it comes to dummy racing, because while all three of his teammates are in the top 10, Peebles at the moment not even in the top 15, although he is looking to fight for him, but definitely a bit of an outlier here for the dummy race crew to be this far down the field. There goes Dustin Ping trying to look for the inside line. He's going to track up, make it 3 wide. So Ping is able to get one more spot up the road. Ryan Dees a bit slow on the top shelf there as well.
A few drivers having a little bit of difficulty getting themselves cleared on by. And again, that's some of the one major things I've noticed since the updates to Iowa a year or so or two ago. You can't really necessarily as much really power your way off, because that newer pavement just not only equalizes, if anything, gains you a little bit more compared to what you would be just running on the top side. So it's a decent defensive device, don't get me wrong, beyond the higher grooves, but it's not as advantageous compared to back in the day.
For the lead, Michael Thorpe Jr. trying to attack Wesley Triplett, looking for the inside of 3 and 4. The Golden Guardian Autosport 34 attacking the dummy race and F-150 up on the top side. With all that outside line momentum, Wesley Triplett's been able to fend them off in the last few laps. That is to stop Thorpe from challenging for everything he's got down in the turn numbers 1 and 2.
Still couldn't get the chance to clear by, and right now Thorpe Jr. on average, he is running just a touch bit quicker than your race leader. Now here's the hard part, actually getting the pass done. Easier said than done at a track like Iowa, but Thorpe Jr. is right there. You see a little bit better on center. That's what's getting him the advantages for the back straightaway onward.
Always loved watching these tower cameras, right? Because it does such a good job on really showing all the different lines and how different they are in terms of pace and where they are at on the racetrack, still side by side as they cross the start-finish line. There's just no way for these guys to get clear. This is the look from Ryan Fleck, the teammate of Wesley Triplett just behind, and I'm willing to bet that if Fleck's able to get up to these two, he's going to be wanting to try to shove his teammate clear to help him retain the lead.
You see just how much Fleck is just trying to ride and bide his time. Doesn't have to push too hard. If anything, if I'm Fleck, I'm letting these two just fight it on out. Thorpe Jr. and Triplett aren't clearing each other by. They're burning up their stuff a little bit. Fleck is running just a little bit quicker than these drivers up front. There's a great opportunity for him to make it a 3-truck battle. Thorpe Jr. trying to back up his entry that time. Get a better launch on Apex off. Triplett actually got the better run because of it and might clear.
Can he get clear in a 1? No, he can. Michael Thorpe Jr. continuing to apply the pressure down from the inside, but this time, yep, I think that's it. He's going to have to give the fight up. Can't say he didn't give it everything there, though. What an effort from Michael Thorpe Jr. Wasn't enough cautions out. It's Scott Shire around, back straightaway.
Apologies already popping up on the radio as the caution flag waves. Scott Shire has had a nightmarish season, it feels like. That time got some help from one of the rookies.
Hio Van Command, it looks like, is the one that maybe ran over Scott Shire here. As we'll try to get a look in here on what happened to this duo coming into turn number 1.
Yep, you see how it's a little higher up on the entry. Shire's trying to diamond down. Then the 14 pushes tight on Apex right into Shire and slamming it into the Wally. Goes the 4.
That is a hard hit into the outside wall as well. He's going to have a lot of damage to repair as a result of that mess. Quite a few trucks down pit road as well, as this is the look at speed. Back then the front, and that means he's going to have 2 bouts of suspension damage to wrestle with.
And interesting enough, a lot of people not electing to come in at least for fuel. So most of the field, I think, is playing it safe on the tire sets. I believe the lights are now on top of the racetrack. So this is why it's getting a little bit darker looking for the time being. And a lot of people going to make sure to limit any time down pit road with the tire set situation tonight, it appears.
Caressel took tires. Everyone else so far still running fuel only. Everyone from 17th up, with the exception of Ping and Williams, are still on the same set of tires they started this one on, with no drivers coming down pit road. Stadium lights and infield lights have just kicked on. So we are officially in night race territory now, just over a tenth of the way through our run at the Iowa Speedway.
It's been an interesting race so far, at least early on. Now, the big thing I think to me is going to be, can you actually make the pass in the 74? It's pretty clear Thorpe Jr. has solid speed to do it, but just cannot find that small edge yet, because he had that one backup in the middle of the entry / apex in 3 and 4, put him on the back foot and gave the 74 a chance to pull back ahead. Now for Thorpe Jr., thinking of the best way to reset, attack on the tires, make sure you don't destroy the tires, find any way you can to get up in front, because it's pretty clear clean air is going to be a big advantage again tonight.
Caden Gargiulo with a black flag, likely too many pit stalls as well. Unfortunate news for him. Gargiulo, of course, one of the drivers that got away with it a couple of times last week in Michigan, so there's some scrutiny being placed on Gargiulo's pit stops tonight, as we understand. Meanwhile, Triplett and Thorpe going to continue to run this one out 1 and 2. Up top, Triplett was able to fend off Thorpe, but now Thorpe's got a chance to reset, let the tires cool, and try again.
Too many stalls out for Caden Gargiulo, just called on the radio. Their second penalty already for that tonight. And again, you know, can only go through so many boxes here, Nolan, before you get penalized. Already 2 of them kind of says a lot.
Racing action set to continue once more, as we are going to do this one all over again. Coming out of turn numbers 3 and 4, green flag will be back in the air. Oh, look out! Thorpe spins the tires. May have had some help from Benjamin Lacey. Spins down the racetrack and into the infield he goes. And more trucks around middle of the field. Caution's going to have to come out immediately on this one.
Thorpe Jr. immediately taking responsibility as expected, and kind of what you expect after 20 plus laps. Thorpe Jr.'s tires just did not grip up at all. Had contact from Lacey and a few others, and it becomes a melee.
Collective Brandon Bogaski down on the inside, somewhere in the middle of this. There you see Robert Lukens. He got hooked around and slid up into James Yerger. That's what spun the 33 around, and that's what ended up actually triggering the caution, was Lukens sideways middle of the racetrack. But a tough break for this field, as quite a few trucks now with damage as a result of that.
Yeah, for a lot of these competitors, now there's obviously going to be the frustration of destroyed race trucks. At the very least, if you're someone like Lukens, you're thinking, thank goodness no one really hit me, but I would have preferred the track position.
This is with Robert Lukens and what he saw. And he got hit from the rear.
Yes, and now for Lukens, he'll have to be towards the back, and he's one of the people who did pit. He was yet to take service this race. Again, for Lacey, see right there, got to the right side at the very least. That avoids the instant black flag, and for Lacey, because the time of the caution flag, still didn't actually pick up any spots really, barely on track.
So more trucks going to be sent down pit road here. And now on our third caution of the night for lap 30. This one, you could almost call it an extension of the last one. A tough break so far for several drivers, as we, well, we'll re-rack them, restack them, and try it again.
And now with Dustin Pinnamontos peeling on down, eventually some of these drivers are going to have to take the bite of going down pit road. Bogaski just came and got a penalty, it looks like, from race control. But now everybody else, I think quite simple as this. You got to make sure you don't get yourself collected in any damage in any incidents. And now everybody else is going to have to figure out a way to make sure they don't chew up those tires or light them up. Too many stalls out, Brandon Bogaski.
Oh, no. Tough break again for Brandon Bogaski, as he's going to yet again be sent down towards the tail end of the field. And, well, I believe it's a drive-through penalty, if I'm remembering this correctly, yeah?
Yeah, I believe so. Because here's the thing. Gargiulo didn't get any chance to even serve his penalty. So there's going to be a couple drivers going to have to serve at the same time now for this upcoming restart. Everybody who pit is about, let's say, 11th for Williams and then 14th on back. The drivers who just pit, many of which are still doing fuel onlys or 2 tire calls, are well down the order. A lot of drivers still yet to use set number 1.
So race in action going to continue once more as Wesley Triblet, Ryan Fleck will make their way out of turn numbers 3 and 4. Green flag back in the air. We'll try it again. This time, Dummy Reyes controlling both lanes, and Fleck coordinated with Triblet, able to jump out in front. Triblet now with a 0.2 of a second advantage, cleared by 3 through 1 and 2.
Rumble the way on through and still try and sort out the best attacking points. Couple drivers keeping themselves careful now. They make the way single file for side by side. No surprise, Jaden Hopp is inside the top 10, up 13.
Race in action still looking to be a little bit dicey throughout this grid as 2 wide from behind, Sean Williams. Bob Berry, 2 by, off of turn numbers 3 and 4. Up front, Benjamin Lacey scraped the wall. That's going to let Connor LaFrance attack down the inside. Going for the final podium position here into turn numbers 1 and 2.
France still can't make the clearance though. Has to get back in line. Lacey, good job on the outside. Bogaski is amongst those serving the penalty. Gargiulo, for whatever reason, went into his pit stall. I think they're also going to have to stop there, because that still has yet to clear for Gargiulo. Bogaski is getting his served right now with him not stopping in the box. We'll lose a lap.
So he will indeed lose a lap as Gargiulo is back into pit road as well. So it continues to be a day of bad to worse for him. Have to imagine that he's getting a little bit frustrated with all of this and what's been going on. One truck slowing up here as well. That's Steven Richardson starting to drop down through the field all the way back to 23rd. He was running in the top 20 before this. I think may have scraped the wall coming out of turn 4. And look at Lukens, Bell, and Lee all under a blanket as well.
All of them trying to be a little feisty on the moves. There's Lukens with the clearance yet again on the single file. Well, right now, this is kind of turning towards what you would kind of expect with a bit of a calmer start. After having the chaos earlier, most of the field just saying, I just want to log some laps, get some points on the board with that stage destination point pretty soon. And better yet, keep yourself clean.
Oh, look out, hold on. Multiple trucks around. James Yerger among them. Also got Heil Van Kamen around. This came out of nowhere in turn numbers 3 and 4. So a rough ride as several drivers again going around. And this one coming out, Justin, just 10 laps shy. Now 9 laps shy of that stage end at end of lap 45. So it started, I think, with the 14. And the Dutchman getting involved in another incident. He was running towards the front.
Yeah, right now, the Netherlands-based driver not having the best of friendships built up here. Just sending deep into the back of Payne through the apex. And then Payne right back into him.
And then Yerger was trying to avoid. He went down and collected Robert Lukens, and that is what spun a lot of them around coming out of turn numbers 3 and 4.
Eye for eye, I guess you could say, but intent or not, you just cannot miss the apex like that and then gas to the corner. Thorpe Jr. lucky not collected, and then Yerger got a heavy amount of damage from the contact.
Brian Dees as well doing a good job to get around that. This is on board with the Spirit Airlines MFRD number 17. Had a front row seat to this whole thing developing and had to scramble up high.
Nice job to dodge everything, get himself a couple of spots picked up. And now I'm curious, eventually somebody's going to have to pit, right, from the race lead. I don't think anybody wants to risk going into traffic. It's quite simple as that. The fuel range tonight, normally the fuel runs can go up to 90-ish. 80% of that is probably around 70-ish. I think for a lot of these drivers, you're only about half into the fuel tank estimates, give or take. So why risk taking a stop when it's, unless you have a time with a caution flag going to make it tight. I don't know if it's going to be as big of a fuel mileage race as some of the air races this season.
So we're going to get set to do this all over again. That was caution number 4. Like it's been said, over-under from several drivers was 7.5. We might hit that number before we even get to halfway at this rate.
I mean, if you bet the over, probably win a few bucks.
Yeah, there you go. Silver lining.
Nobody actually did that, by the way, so we are not promoting gambling because the gambling never happened. It was just somebody asking for the line. We, of course, be responsible with your gambling. There is a number for that, yes, for those to get that disclosure in. Now, in terms of the race itself, right now, Triplet's making it very difficult to make moves, and Fleck is in a good spot right now to ride and help out the teammate, ride in his line, work with his teammate here. Hopefully get a caution to pit together and keep the top 2 going afterwards.
160 laps still yet to be run when we get back around to the start-finish line. So the race still yet to be sorted. And yet again, I mean, it's what you'd expect to see, right? Drivers getting a little bit aggressive and all this cautions, breeding cautions. It's only serving to make this more and more difficult, I think, on the field. And the more cautions come out, the more drivers will get aggressive, trying to make whatever ground they can before the next one comes out. Green flag is back in the air. We'll see if the pattern continues.
Black having to deal with Lacey, though. Lacey got a tremendous start to this one. Can't get the clearance, though, to move on by on the outside. Going Fleck is once again. Now LaFrance trying to diamond his line, just force the 2 to check up.
Still double file throughout this field as Lacey and Fleck 2 by right behind them. You, of course, have got the likes of Nick Nickerson. You've got Marasco. You've got Hop. You got Gibson all in the fray. As we drive her in deep into 3 and 4, the sun at this point has set behind the horizon, so the glare no longer a factor for drivers here this afternoon. But again, it's been such a tight battle as everyone's trying to cluster in on that fresher asphalt pavement on the inside of the quarters.
Yeah, just trying to make sure they stay at the bottom again. That's been the better way to save tires here with this version of Iowa. And really to be said about this, if you want to get the passes done, it's just about taking your time because it's a bit of a grind. Similar to that of like a Martinsville, if you will, where it can take up to 10 laps to make a pass setup in the first place. We've seen that all race long. Hop, meanwhile, he's now up to 6, running for 5th, and he just got the 1 loose.
Got him a little loose, but other than that, looking like we're more or less smooth sailing. Can he clear him this time by is going to be the big question. Marasco still just barely has the nose and up on the top side, not able to contend for it. Right ahead of them, Jaden Hopp and Connor LaFrance also side by side. Connor LaFrance and Ryan Flex side by side for the number 3 spot on the road. And for really the first time all night long, we're single file throughout the top 15.
Yeah, I think this is just natural progression of the race with a lot of people trying to set anything up here. Speaking of which, side by side just popped up again. Nick Nickerson having a hard time through the corners right now to stay to the bottom. Just got passed by Thorpe.
Thorpe continuing to drive through the field after he had that issue earlier on in the opening 10 laps where he got into Nathaniel Lee to spin him around after Lee struck the wall. Very slowly but surely, he's been working his way back towards the front. Now he's into the top 10 and only a couple spots away from a top 5. Larry Bell also makes one of his feet. Oh, slipped down behind as Richardson sideways off 4, but he catches it on the apron.
Good save back there. The 2 nearly got tagged as well, just now coming out of 2. A few drivers getting a little bit over dicey here. By the way, with Lacey up in second, providing a fair amount of pressure for the lead, as you see guards in the back, like you said, struggling a little bit now that are off kilter here like Richardson.
Still have side by side everywhere you look, and showing again why Iowa is regarded as such a great racetrack. They call it the sister track to the action track for a reason, right? I mean, this is obviously one of those racetracks where the nature of how you got to race here, it's a short track that very much races like a speedway in many regards. The typical point-and-shoot short track tracks that you see at places like, New Smyrna, Myrtle Beach, they don't work here.
No, especially since with the way the banking works here, you can't necessarily just go hard on the gas, then hard on the brake, hard on the gas, hard on the brake, anything along those lines. It's kind of a natural progression on how you approach these corners so you don't cook the tires. You have to be almost trail braking your way in with a track like Iowa.
Still have a lot of this race left to go. Jaden Hopp still fighting with Connor LaFrance down on the inside. Now, these are 2 drivers that I've been very curious to see what's going to happen when they reach each other on the racetrack. They haven't had too many run-ins so far this season, but this could very much be unstoppable force meeting a movable object as Connor LaFrance looking to drive that one around the outside. LaFrance, of course, a driver that's got plenty of experience. Whenever OMS Sorrell ran here, where LaFrance runs on the regular on Tuesday nights, they are, of course, making Iowa effectively a seasonal tradition. So LaFrance, very, very familiar with how this place runs in all manner of stock car vehicles.
I think he's very comfortable right now. He's been very fast throughout the season. I don't know if he's necessarily had the greatest of finishes to show it. Well, he is more than 50% in top 5 rates on the season, yet to get a win. Might be one of the chances, but Lacey is side by side for the lead, Nolan.
Side by side for the race lead up front as Wesley Triblett going to drop back as a result. So Triblett back in front. Lacey number 2. You see him power sliding a little bit out of the corner. Benjamin Lacey been doing a decent job this season at the office, trying everything that he's been able to do to muster this one through. 2 top 5s in the last few weeks. But there is one bad result that, of course, came at Dover that continues to loom. Sorry, I'm looking at Connor LaFrance's stats here. Benjamin Lacey, again, having a good day at the office here. I believe 1 win on the board this season so far, if I'm not mistaken. That or I'm completely twisting myself around in the stat sheets.
I think it's a little bit over the map, but for Lacey, with the 2 top 5s, he's had a solid start, I think you can argue, on the season. But we've seen better when it comes to him, of course, as a champion. Right now, he's got a little bit of a better truck. In terms of the average, they are near equal, and Lacey cleared himself!
Oh, low and hard into the outside wall as he clears himself across those. Look down, the front slides in. He's going to slam the inside wall. Thorpe collected as well. And a massive accident on the back straightaway, taking out several heavy hitters before the halfway mark.
I don't know what to say. You just can't do that coming off the corner here at Iowa. That was not clear in any way, shape, or form, and that's why he ended up getting himself collected there. And now this completely changed the whole way this race can go.
Taking another look at this one, as this was around 3 and 4. So Lacey going to track up from the inside line, and Triplett just barely had the nose in, but that little bit is enough. Ends up hooking Lacey into the outside wall. Triplett's going to push his way on by while Lacey spins down the racetrack. Thorpe scrambles. LaFrance spun it, trying to lock it down. He's going to end up, he clears him with the back end, but careens into the inside tires while Thorpe slams the inside wall as well.
Well, this simplifies some of the pit strategy possibly. Maybe a one-stopper from here, and a lot of leaders came in outside of 5 or 6, and a lot of people are taking tires for the first time tonight here, Nolan.
5 drivers staying out. Triplett, Fleck, Foster, Barry, Richardson. Those top 5 stay out. Everyone else is in this time through. Thor with a lot of damage on his truck. Not the outing he was hoping to have at the office. Get one more look, and this one will be at speed on the back straightaway. It just takes a split second for your race to fall apart, and this is where that all goes wrong.
Big mistake, as LaFrance got a feel for him. He was trying to go to the bottom, the lowest he could go, still gets collected. Thorpe had a very fast truck tonight. That's not going to be the case anymore for the next little bit at least. And really, you just got to find a way to clear. Yes, you want the lead. This is similar to the case with Ping, only this time there was still fender-to-fender damage. Lacey, I think, was hoping there would be some give and take. For the race lead, not going to get that there. And Triplett, mind you, once was able to survive and keep himself up front from that.
You saw LaFrance. I will give LaFrance some credit. He did a fantastic job to actually spin that truck around Lacey. He never actually touched the 7. It's just unfortunate he had a tire barrier that came out to meet him before he could wrangle it back underneath that truck. But that was almost one of the best saves in Green Flag TV history.
Would have been good, but sometimes good's not enough. You need to be great. And in this case, he's now one of the drivers going to be dealing with a bit of damage after that. On that thought process, after looking at the replay, I'm still surprised Triplett has no damage.
I am too. Wesley Triplett again doing a fantastic job to get around that. I think Triplett has brought his A game to Iowa. That much has been made very, very clear. This is a track that he's shown a lot of promise at so far tonight. He's been to the top 5. In fact, he's been to the top 2 all race long. And when he gets out in front, he has proven to be a very, very difficult driver to get around. And so far, there's no end in sight to that reign in the lead.
He's making it hard to pass, and we know already he's not going to necessarily just let you have it if you make near the clearance already. Just seen a great example of that right then and there. And now for everybody else, it's the matter of what do you do next? Fresh tires are going to be coming up, though. There's a chance for a shuffle after a look at the tire spin.
Oh, my, and that's going to cause a stagger. We're 4 wide, heading down to turn number 1. Not feeling great about this one, but they're able to at least get through 1 and 2 safe and sound. Still 3 wide, 2 rows deep on the back straightaway, headed back down to the 3 and 4. And there it falls apart.
Here we go again. Connor Gibson kept it up to the high side at least. And it's been that kind of a year for Connor so far. He's still inside the top 12 in points, yes. But he hasn't had the necessary best luck, can still get good points if he's able to recover.
So this one is Gibson, and it ends up being, I think, Steven Richardson. Yeah, Richardson tracking up from the inside. Right as Gibson was coming down, they make contact, and around goes the 31. He throttles it up, swings the front of the round, and strikes the left front up against the outside wall. Single truck incident on this one, and no surprise, this brings the rest of the drivers that hadn't yet pit into pit road, recognizing their mistakes, including Wesley Triplett. So for the first time, the Dummy Racing 1-2 at the front has been neutralized. We're going to take a step back when we return. Racing action continues on Green Flag TV. Stay with us.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. We are continuing to pace under, well, we've lost count on how many cautions we've had, but I can promise you we are over the over-under on 7.5. As predicted, we hit that number well before halfway. My name is Little Rebel alongside Justin Prince, and it has been a bloodbath this afternoon from the Iowa Speedway, Justin.
That's an understatement, the way things are going as of late here. There's been a lot of carnage. There's been a lot of chaos. We still have at least 3 trucks that have been busy getting repairs. At least 1 or 2 of them probably going to be out of the race. Thorpe Jr., I think, is decimated right now. But it's almost getting to that prediction. Remember Jaden Hopp? Guess who's in third?
Again, he just finds a way to always be up at the front before too much longer, doesn't he? And he always does it quietly. We haven't talked about Hopp much tonight. I don't know if it's because we're just used to these last to first challenges now and how he likes to make these races interesting for himself. But yet again, he finds himself up near the front. Ready to challenge for the lead with Ty Marasco, winner from last week, and Nick Nickerson in the number 1 spot with that Busch Light number 2. Pace car is off. Lap number 67. Race action continues again from Iowa.
Clean jump this time from the inside row especially, and as expected there, when you have an inside line like that, roll as much as it did. Hopp immediately going up to the front. Here we go, he's already looking for the race lead. Couldn't get there inside yet.
Overall, it's been a tight run already. Jaden Hopp looking for the top spot here. Gonna seek the challenge into turn number 1. And Hopp clear for the lead. Would not be surprised if we start to see him stretch his legs and walk off into the distance with this one. Hopp looking for win number 3 of the season for him. And what would be win number 23 of his overall career. We got one truck around to the back in turn 4. It's Steven Richardson.
Again, it's living up to be one of those types of nights. Near caution. Restart again. Richardson's not having a fun one. 2 cautions now involved in the past 3.
I feel like that's something we could say for about half the grid at this point. You'd be hard-pressed to find a truck anywhere on this racetrack that hasn't been involved in at least one incident throughout the course of the afternoon. So you got to look at what happened. Richardson was looking to be a little bit towards the tail here. There's Conor LaFrance right in front. And he lost that one all by himself.
Yep. Wow. Hard contact for Corresso. He's going to deal with some door damage. Going to have to get that truck fixed from suspension possibly. But this field, we're not even at halfway yet. It's been more than almost a full hour.
There's all that damage on the left side of the Kentucky Fried Chicken Ford F-150, and well, he missed Colonel Sanders and that beautiful mustache at least, but it did scrape up the door number something fierce. There it is. New door panel on there, good to go. So Carrasco gonna make his way back onto the racetrack, and doesn't look like he'll even lose a lap off of this one.
No, that's not bad, I guess you can say, for him, but I mean, eventually we're gonna run out of trucks. Jaden Hopp, by the way, took the race lead. Remember, so right as that we came to that point, now it's gonna be hard to dethrone him because he went from the back to the front and not even halfway. What did I say about the caution is gonna help with that?
So right now, the top 9 on 12-lap old tires. You got Triplet and Fleck on 7-lap old tires, but it's hard to really say what that's going to do, right? Because a majority of the last 12 laps we've spent under caution. So the tires, for all intents and purposes, may as well be fresh stickers.
Yeah, I think it's more so at this point. I'm not even concerned about tire wear as much as most races would be at this case. I'm more so concerned with the way things are going here. Just quite simple. Who exactly is going to be able to make it on mileage, and where are they going to make it on mileage? And the more that we get caution-wise, the more that's going to help in the mileage game.
Let's go out aboard the iRacing pace car. So we're going to stack it up, double it up, and get ready to do this all over again. Still looking for a green flag run, realistically longer than 10 laps. We have not had one all race long. And at this point, it's a bit of a who knows as to how long this race is going to take. We said at the top of the show, right, it was probably going to be a bit of a long night, but I wasn't imagining it'd be this.
I don't think anyone was. But then again, the race, when we had Blazing Belts a couple weeks ago at Iowa, did go a couple of hours plus. And now we see it again. Still 128 to go. Jaden Hopp in control.
Green flag in the air this time by Jaden Hopp, getting away well from Nick Nickerson down in the turn number 1. Eddie Hackey hot on their heels. Ty Marasco in the mix. So is Sean Williams and Nathaniel Lee. Lee tracking up from the inside. And trying to send that one up the inside of Marasco as well in the 3 and 4. A bit of a brave lunge for Lee. But he's going to make it stick at the very least.
There's the jump to the bottom. Look at that. Marasco, a little bit of hardy cut. Again, no place to take the run, and that's allowing everybody to recoil and rebound to the inside like Lee to the fender.
That, I think, is Nathaniel Lee sending a bit of a message. Hey, don't do that again. Clearly not happy, and instant karma hits him as he spins it around on the front straightaway. Bogaski spins slides the inside. He's going to get around it, and we got more trucks stacking him up in turn 1.
Yerger, Foster, Larry Bell, a couple others having to play dodgeball or being the ball in this case. Again, what is it about corn that makes people go wild?
Get another look at this one here. There's the bit of a tap from Lee to Ty Marasco saying, I'm not happy with you on how you chopped my nose in a 1 and 2 the last time by. And then not even 5 seconds later, he lights the rears coming out of turn 4 and spins himself around. I think he let Marasco get in his head.
Yeah, just lit up the tires coming off the corner exit. And right up on the top side, everyone's checking up in case Lee comes up the racetrack. And then they just all stack up as a result. Some of the drivers lifted, some of them did not.
It's a bit clumsy, right? I mean, the yellow flag would have been out at that point. And I mean, surely you can see all the smoke that there's been an incident just in front of you.
Absolutely. Really. Bit of a stunner in a couple of cases with the outside line because, again, Lee was just on the bottom most of the time.
It's going to be on board from the tail end of a couple of these guys at the back. This is with Larry Bell and what he saw. So you can see him spinning out there. I don't... Oh, so that's an interesting one. So Bell did check up, and I think it was just a case of they were all checking up. They just stacked up more than they expected.
Kind of, absolutely. And now, on the bright side, Thorpe Jr.'s got a clean race truck. The downside, he's 18 laps down. So second on the points back running. But for a lot of the others, it's again, logging laps, get yourself to the next fuel window. Let's see what the field does for reference. Some of the drivers who have already pit, like Peebles, like some of the others that are making up a lot of the ground. Triplets already up to 6th for reference.
26 trucks started this race, and we do still technically have all 26 in the running, 21 on the lead lap. All of these cautions are allowing for a lot of drivers to get those damages repaired and get them back onto the racetrack. There's Larry Bell, looking like he has a brand new truck for all intents and purposes. Scott Shire with the Monster Jam Grave Digger number 4 making his way back towards the racetrack as well. Bob Berry, now the lone driver, still in the box.
And Lacey, Munsters with the penalty box, just seen. He was one of those that is 19 laps down, came off pit road, and now wants to come back down again. Right now, all I can say to the end with how things have gone is, let's see what happens until the next one.
At this point, it doesn't even matter if we're going to get another caution. It's just, you know, when's it going to happen? Is it going to happen in 2 laps, 3, 5, 8, 10? We know it'll be before 10. Now, that's been the trend all night so far.
Short run, short run, short run. If you're good on short run, may as well try and push. No tire spin up in the front this time. Oh, and it's in the back instead.
Thorpe collecting Lacey, spinning into the infield, no caution. We're going to keep this one green. How much are you willing to bet that someone lit the rears again at the tail end to start that one off? Tough break for Benjamin Lacey. While the rest of the field working our way through turn numbers 3 and 4. Scott Shire's got a black flag.
And Shire's trying to get it cleared. Lacey still has to serve one, mind you. Been turning into a bit of a wacky race, if you will, as Pena we got bounced around by Marasco.
Marasco off the door of the number 81. And he'll tuck in line behind Connor Gibson. Payne now looking to the inside, gets the door slammed shut in his face, courtesy of Wesley Triplett. Nick Kirsten up front, by the way, is also not allowed Hawk to get away. They're only about a quarter of a second separated up front.
This race continues to just be one of those intriguing ones with so many troubles. Here's the look. It's already backed up as it is. And Thorpe, did he hit the back of Bell, or was there a stack up there, not a tire spin?
Unclear. It was a stack up that happened for Michael Thorpe Jr., so nothing he could have done about it.
Not necessarily his fault there, absolutely. And now, that in mind, Marasco. Look at LaFrancis bounce back. He's fixed most of the damage, if not all of it. He's already back into 7th on his move back to the pack.
Ryan Fleck and Brandon Bogaski, two trucks that at one point were both in the top 10, also looking to fight back as they've now raced their way back into a top 10 position. But both trying to go for more. Want to see maybe they can gang up on Ty Marasco here in front. But it might take a little bit of setup if they want to pull that kind of thing off. And right now, Bogaski losing pace to Ryan Fleck as well, so he might end up losing touch in the battle for 7th place.
At this point, I think some of the drivers with the tire differences, but also just the speed differences overall had their track limits are now being amplified because the fact you have so many different strategies in play, but also just different levels of preparation when it comes to Iowa. Now the cream is rising to the top. Now they'll be gotten some laps established on the racetrack on the tires.
Still working our way through this race, and right now on one of our longest green flag runs all night. It feels a bit weird to be saying that on lap 87 after everything that's happened, but here we are. It's been one of those nights, and Sean Williams and Nathaniel Lee side by side, also in the fray, James Yerger, but they're all going to get down to just single file action. So Lee learning a bit of a lesson, I feel, from his spin to bring out our latest yellow flag. While Ty Marasco back to the inside of Connor LaFrance up towards the front.
As Connor Gibson blinks a little bit in that moment, I think all you can really say, if you're some of the drivers that have been put towards the back end or on the back foot on strategy, is try and dig, try and figure out where you're going to go long run. This is your best chance as a driver to really take the race into your own hands control-wise in terms of pace. So if you want a real chance to contend, you better figure out the best way to make these passes stick. Fend off the packs. Connor Gibson attacked by two at once.
And LaFrance, Gibson, and Marasco still going at it as Marasco and Gibson trying to see if they can't find a way around, and Gibson's going to catch the outside wall. Ty Marasco still hunting from the inside groove. But overall, I think Connor Gibbs has got his work cut out of trying to get around that number one. Try as he may, he's been unable to open the door on Ty Marasco and going to send it big time again, but not able to get fully alongside. It's one of those challenges at Iowa, right? Especially with the newer asphalt they've laid down there in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 at the bottom side of the track. It's just so hard to get passes done here now.
It's exactly the point that we talked about. We've seen it all night. Everyone who's wanted to make a pass has had a hard time actually doing it, just because of the nature of the circuit. And if you really want a chance to actually make the move, you almost need to pressurize the mistake. And a lot of drivers have been getting physical trying to force those mistakes to done.
So Marasco going to continue to race this one out with Connor LaFrance trying to see if he can't break clear. I think LaFrance having to worry more about defense than offense right now. He would love to go after Wesley Trimble, but with him losing ground and Marasco hot on his heels, Marasco's going to send that one to the inside. Now can LaFrance go for that overrun? We've seen it be effective today, and LaFrance will get the nose back into to try to battle back.
One of our better battles on the racetrack on the night so far, I think you can argue. Marasco's still getting a good job on the outside to defend back. LaFrance is going to have to reset again. Starting to burn up its tires a little bit here with all those send attempts.
Still looking to continue on as Marasco pushing up from the inside. Connor LaFrance wanting to drive this one in deep into turn numbers 1 and 2. No joy for the time being. Up top goes Marasco, and he's going to yet again pull clear of the 0-7. The racing here today has been full of non-stop aggression all throughout the pack. And I think finally we see these guys beginning to settle into a bit of a rhythm.
Only took most of the night so far, not even halfway through the race though. At this point, it eventually is going to become the conversation where some of these drivers, if they didn't pick the right strategy for tire roulette, or better yet, fuel roulette, are they going to be able to make it on a one-stop after this point? I think that's eventually going to become a question for some of these drivers who may have been expecting maybe one more caution to really get into the game plan.
In particular, the entirety of the top 6 minus triplet is thinking about that, right? Because there are 39 laps now on this stint, 34 as well for drivers also back to about 10th place. So it does go to show that a lot of drivers here, they've been playing this by ear. Any strategy plan you had coming in has been effectively dashed on the pavement. You're just trying to race this one out and take the hits as they come and adjust on the fly. They see Eddie Hagee running some new colors as he's wanted to battle Nick Nickerson for the number 2 spot.
I like the colors. It looks pretty nice in terms of paint scheme. Next chapter outdoors, I believe, is on the car. Right now, that 97. That truck doing a good job now up to second. Speed's been there. He's been one of the faster drivers on the racetrack here.
Halfway home, 100 down, 100 to go, and still plenty more yet to come. It really is short track and road course week here at Green Flag TV. There's not one regular speedway, if I'm recalling this correctly, maybe until the Blaze Palace Truck Series comes Sunday. But after tonight, you have the Mid-Atlantic Races Series at Richmond, and then, of course, Silver Fox Racing League action. They're going to be at Iowa Speedway as well this coming Tuesday. And then you also have road courses from there all the way through Saturday. PSR heads to the brand new Qualicum circuit at Naval Base Coronado. Beerling will hit Road Atlanta for their season finale. Mystic Racing League is out at Montreal. Precision Motorsports League not headed to Algarve. They were going to be there, but they changed that to Watkins Glen in the National in accordance with the iRacing special event. And speaking of Watkins Glen, VSCA also present for the Abruzzi 6 Hours of the Glen this coming Saturday. So, bit of a unique calendar for us here all throughout the week as the short tracks and the road courses take over the channel for the next few days.
It'll be a fun time to see some of the various different racetracks. I know there's a lot of excitement about Naval Base Coronado now being on the platform. And my main thought is quite simple. How is it going to race for the leagues? It has been a challenge, to say the least, coming into this week to the conversation in some leagues.
No surprise, it's a brand new circuit. No one has been able to fully test it out yet. It's challenging as well. I was speaking to Derek Watson earlier today, and he was describing all the narrower sections throughout the Chicago street course. There's a lot of that at the Qualicum circuit as well, so it's going to be a bit of an interesting one. There was a discussion for High Tide as well on if they were going to be switching to go run at Naval Base Coronado. They decided against it, though, meaning we will be still racing at Kansas next week.
No, there's some that say there is some things with the graphics that are challenges for some of the drivers. I think I can understand that reasoning in terms of trying to make sure people have frame rate, but also making sure you run a track that you're used to the trucks. Yes, it'd be fun, Nolan, but you also want to make sure it's done right, as Lee nearly got himself turned around there.
Would not be the first time that he's done that tonight. And he goes from outside to inside, trying to push up against Connor Gibson. You saw him get him loose out of turn 4. He was leaning on that door all the way through 3 and 4. This time he goes way up high, and he's going to end up backing out. Brandon Bogaski gets through. What's going on here with Lee?
I think he's just being uber aggressive in part here. It's been interesting what we've seen from the 77 in the course of this one. Second start of the series, by the way, and you can tell he is still battling with the gremlins of that truck.
And doing his best to try to see if he can figure something out here. Meanwhile, Bogaski clearing up from Connor Gibson. Gibson going to challenge back on the low side with the good old over-under. It's been a reliable tactic so far on this one. Brandon Bogaski all the way up to the outside. Gibson kicking the tail end out, and that is game, set, match for the time being as Bogaski runs away with 9th.
For Bogaski, been up and down in terms of the run through, -3 still on the race. Thorpe Jr. just let everybody go here, by the way. He's just trying to make sure he survives and hopes for a bit more attrition. I think it was hoping for a bit more chaos. Just don't be a part of it.
I think he ended up being a little bit a part of it here. He was right behind the battle with Gibson and Bogaski, though we were just watching. As whoops, slip of the grip, tags the back wall, sends her into the infield, does keep it out of the inside wall, though. Did a good job to get that truck back under him.
Again, challenges are high to survive here, and oh boy, the 14 missed the bottom again. I almost feel like KO needs to adjust that brake bias with the way he's missing the bottom. Look at this again. He's having a, he this time overcompensated a little bit, stabbed the brake, and you can see how that splitter's digging in. 14 not getting a good corner exit off the end right there as a result.
Yes, sir. Unfortunate for him for the time being, as Kyle Van Kemen has been trying to do what he can, I think, throughout the course of the afternoon. It just hasn't necessarily been a season that has gone his way. Of course, coming in here, one of our rookies in the field, and from the last few races, not necessarily something that he's been wanting to remember for a good chunk of the season. Still has yet to finish within the top 20 runners, except for a few weeks ago.
It's tough to be able to come into a new series and immediately put up an impact. It takes a lot of luck, but also you need to have the right skill set. From 14, he's not necessarily had the best of luck in a lot of these races this season. Trouble seems to have found his way in a couple of times. He's just here to have fun. What else can you say in his case?
And hey, you know, some drivers like Jaden and Hop, they're here to compete. Same story for Wesley Triplett, Benjamin Lacey, and others. Like, you know, they're all here to compete. They're here to race and win for championships. Drivers like Van Kemen and even some of the other contenders like Scott Shire at the back, they're content to just run it out so long as they're having fun. They don't care where they finish. And hey, the track's open for all sorts of drivers, right? And sometimes you do just want to have some fun running with the gang on a Monday night, and it's hard to blame some drivers for having that mindset of, you know what, so long as I'm running on the track, who cares? We're having a good time.
I'm one of those drivers, or at least when I've ran in the past, where if I'm not first, second, or third, I'm very disappointed, and that's why I end up not having the best of luck out there. And sometimes the best mindset is the positive one. And for some, they know where they can stand in the race. They know in a lot of cases it's challenging to be able to run these types of events. So you just got to be able to keep it clean.
I feel that as well. I'm also one of those types of drivers. I'm way too competitive for my own good. It's why I don't even run officials anymore. It's, yeah, I don't know. I let it get to my head a little bit too much, and yeah, sometimes there's reasons why I'm up here in the booth, not down there on the racetrack right now.
And really, I will say, Iowa is one of those racetracks that is a fan favorite, is a driver favorite, or used to be at the very least. I remember back in the day, I used to love racing here because there are some battles in the past where was able to run as much as 60 to 80 laps side by side in a row. Now it's a little bit more challenging to do that with the nature of the circuit, and with the fact you just do not see people have to be able to run the top unless there's something wrong anymore.
Yeah, the decision to put down a lot of that pavement, I think, has been a big source of contention for a lot of the field. And when we reference this, right, you see the older concrete up on the outside versus that fresher black tarmac down on the inside. That black stuff has a lot more grip than the more worn-in asphalt up on the top side. And it means that what used to be a fantastic multi-groove racetrack has turned very lopsided into a bottom lane heavy facility that makes it so it's nigh impossible to get a good run around the outside like you used to be able to do here, a year on back. And it's one of those things, I feel like if you wanted to do that, fine. Why not do it on the outside? Why do it on the inside of the track that's been all about momentum?
That was almost my question mark, too, was if you're doing part of the track, why not do the whole thing? I know the plan was to eventually do the whole thing. My question is when that is the case. I don't know if they've done it yet over the past year and people are going to be seeing that or not, but it provides a contrast. It makes it to where you want to stay at the bottom instead of at the top, like so many people grew up watching during the races that happened during the 2000s and 2010s.
It always just felt strange, like putting PJ1 compound down in the IndyCar races a mile and a half, so especially at tracks like Texas Motor Speedway. It's just, I don't know. I never really got behind it. Though, to be fair, there are other ways you could radicalize a track surface, right? I mean, look what they did to Echo Park Speedway nowadays on what used to be a relatively tricky tire chewer at Atlanta Motor Speedway, now effectively turned mile-and-a-half plate track.
That's been an interesting project, as Russell Trippett just got left by Justin Payne one end of the track. I think this is a track that, if you repave the whole track, I think where you see the natural lines come into play again. Remember, used to be top dominant up until 2021. Where people started to run the bottom of the racetrack more, realized it was better in the long run for tires. That's now become the natural progression circuit. The fall off is already near 2 seconds, by the way. Towards this run, we're almost at fuel window.
So a lot of drivers have already used one tire set here on the day. In fact, I'd imagine the entire field at this point has used at least one tire set here on this one. So a pit stop now would see full 4 tires in the field for the entirety of the field. I don't see any other way that happens. And that, of course, would come out a bit quicker. There's a caution. Robert Lukens almost brought it out, as you saw him power sliding it out of turn numbers 3 and 4.
A little bit of sketchy, and Lukens just laughing it on off on the radio. He's just having some fun trying to survive here. And really, he's been bounced around a fair bit tonight. He's still up in the 15th spot. Still a positive gain from where he qualified, at least.
Hey, we take the wins where we can get them, right? I mean, up 4 places where it qualifies. Sean Williams up 8. In fact, let's bring up some of the bigger movers and shakers here throughout the course of the night. Those are the top 10 drivers that are on the gain. Eddie Hagge by far the most out of the lot, up 23 after failing to qualify. Jaden Hopp choosing not to qualify. He is also up 20. Caressel, the next driver up, the only other one that's into double digits.
Yeah, this kind of is not necessarily just pass. It's just in a lot of these cases tonight, if you got in the track position, it's because the carnage has allowed you to pick the right strategy to get there. In a lot of these cases, it's been about luck tonight if you want to make your way through it for Caressel. At the very least, after his damage repairs, he's still doing pretty solid here. He's got to make sure he doesn't have any issues on this pit entry. Remember, it's been about a week since the build, and one of the things in the build, adjustments to speed limits.
Pit speed, of course, looking to be about 40 miles an hour now. And when you're still running here, we're talking at speeds of 140. Not easy to slow that truck down to that degree. You never dip under 100 throughout this racetrack. So it's going to be a significant challenge for drivers to make their way into pit road here this afternoon, as it so often is, especially since you're slowing down on the inside line, the racing line, a lot more populated place ever since they put this new pavement down.
And really for drivers like Triplett in particular, you see some give and take already we talked about off the screen. He's been getting that plug and play speed. He's similar to that for the rest of the leaders here. Right now just searching for clean air as the pit window is open for Ping.
Dustin Ping becomes the first driver to bring that truck down to pit road under green flag conditions and not for a black flag. So this is going to be for 4 tires and fuel. He will lose a lap or 2. But the trade-off, he will be the fastest truck on the racetrack for at least a little bit. Critically, this should, in theory, potentially be enough to go the distance to the end.
That's what I was saying. About 70 lap runs is where I was expecting things to go here tonight. And now we've seen that come to fruition where there's not going to be major fuel gains to play over the course of the evening. Really, the game is now when you take the tires, because at this point, we already know you can lose so much ground if you go too far on the stints, and Payne with the undercut. Going to see where he goes after 73 laps on his stint.
Well, it's not going to be great. 33 seconds in the box. Very long stop for Dustin Ping. Had to have been doing some damage repairs there as well, because there's no reason why 4 tires and fuel should take double the length that it normally does.
Yeah, that's the only way I can see it, too. That is a tough situation again for Ping. Well, it's been a bit of a tough night for him. Ty Marasco, well, he just said pit. Jaden Hopp, I think, is coming in this time, too.
So Marasco's going to be in this time. Jaden Hopp coming down next time by as he's already past the start-finish line. And here comes Connor Gibson also into pit road from the rear. Not the only one. Scott Shire looking to pit in, trying to beat the undercut.
There's only so far you can go, and right now some of the drivers going 77 laps. Hopp did not come in. Now he said he's pitting. So, pit road's going to become a very busy place in a minute for a lot of these competitors, because you don't want to get that infamous black flag over the course of this run. Nobody's gotten it so far.
So far. But people have gotten it today. That I think we were talking again earlier on, and I think there was something like 8 black flags. And speaking of black flags, Ty Marasco just got one, but I feel like this would actually be for too fast on pit exit.
Has to be. And remember this. It's by the 10th now in the speed limit. Right there, hits the gas. And might have stabbed the gas. Yeah, that might have been too early to stab up.
You heard him lift and then brake as he realized his mistake, but it was too late at that point in time. Coming down pit road, race leader Wesley Triplett following Jaden Hopp. Robert Lukens caught with a black flag as well, and I think for the same thing.
And I think it's kind of showing a few of these drivers are not used to the new update maybe yet. Are making some critical mistakes you just cannot make if you want a chance to contend in this race.
Yeah, before you were able to kind of cheese the pit speed limit just a little bit. There was a little bit more leeway being given. That's much stricter now to prevent some of the exploits that we've seen. Sean Williams very slow out of turn numbers 3 and 4. Have to imagine that he has had a problem in the final couple of corners.
Let's see what happened here. Has been one of the drivers on different strats parts of the night. He's going to try and pit again, he just said, because, yep, overcooked it, realized he was going to be missing or speeding, decided I'm going to do this again.
Smart play, you lose less time by just going around again, and this is why it's usually a good idea to pit when you still have a lap or 2 of gas left in the tank, right? Because that way if you do make a mistake, you get a mulligan, but if you pit and you have less than a lap, well, that's it, you're kind of done for.
Kind of on a boat, and hoping that you don't sink on said boat at this point. France, in his case, also still chugging along, as Barresso, by the way, is the current leader. Only a few drivers left to take service. Only 5 or 6 are on the lead lap, and Hopp is one of them. LaFrance is not one of them.
Whole field just about making their way down pit road. Still waiting on the top 4 and Kevin Foster to make their way into the box. Kevin Foster, I believe, looking to come in before too much longer. Foster, I think, is just kind of running his own race, trying to see if he can't figure something out. There's Nathaniel Lee making his way out of pit road, while Triplett racing it out with Connor LaFrance for 6th.
You weren't going to stop that with 2 lap pressure tires. You will try and cross it up, though, if you are a competitor. I think Triplet's got the better truck right now on the short run with the fire off of the tires, but also it's better on the long run compared to most. There it is. Triplet's got the power back.
Got to be careful, right? Because a caution now could trap a mass chunk of this field a lap down, or at least force them to stay out, which would be a massive benefit to the top 3, who can effectively get a free pit stop out of all this. Caressel, Yerger, Van Command still have yet to pit. Meanwhile, Triplet and LaFrance still racing this one out. Steven Richardson has been black flagged. And this one, I believe, be for too many pit stalls.
That's what race control just confirmed. Have to be 3 boxes in, 3 boxes out. Remember, is the count. A lot of people are making that mistake here tonight. Seen some big moves on the pit stalls here this evening. You see the service. It's going to be on the, might be the, oh, let's see if it's the end. 1.
He's fine on the way in.
That's usually the case. Now, 3rd would be further down. 1, 2.
Huh.
I almost feel like they got maybe past that. And the 4th would technically be where that pit exit access is, that camera angle. They've not shown it with the left rear.
Gotcha. Yeah, those pit stalls right where there's that little access area to take cars back to the garage. That's always the tricky thing, right? Do you count that as an extra pit stall or don't you? I feel like you kind of have to, though, right? Because otherwise it's such an exploit that could be utilized. Ryan Dees has just been meatballed, and I think he's got a tire down.
Brian Dees having an issue at the top of the track. He's going to have to find a way down quick. Don't think there's a hole to go down, though. There it is. And he's missing pit road.
Oh, not going to make it work. Should have stayed out for one more, and he's going to have to take the tow.
I think he said, you know what? I'm going to go in tow before I make things any worse. Caressel going to come in this time. Let's see this again.
This is what happened to Brian Dees. And yeah, that was all the hallmarks of he blew the right front out, it looks like.
Yeah, and just couldn't get it to rotate. Caution!
Oh dear, and that comes right after Kevin Foster had that slide as he did manage to make it out of pit road. And looking like this is a multi-car pileup with people. Shire, Nickerson, maybe Thorpe as well. Shire's got a meatball.
Stopped on the racetrack as well, the 4. Definitely taking an error hit. I think it was offset 3 with the 3 inside the 4 truck.
Take a look back. This is Kevin Foster, still slow. It happens here, though, so nothing to do with Kevin Foster. Nickerson on the inside. Wesley Peebles up top, and Peebles ran him over.
Yeah, I don't know what to say on that other than there was places to go on the outside. There was places to check up. They gave, or at least Peebles didn't, give any brakes to the 4.
Man, that is a tough break for the field as... Oh! Caution came out effective immediately on that deal. This is going to be on board with Wesley Peebles in the 47. At least it might be. Here we go.
Yeah, let's see this here. It's outside the group in the first place.
I
He
don't know.
could have been much higher up.
I don't tell you. It almost looks like he drove right into the back bumper.
Yeah, that was not necessary.
No, sir. Caution out yet again, ending our longest and what will definitely be the longest green flag run here of the night. Quite a few drivers going to make their way down pit road. And we're going to take ourselves a step back when we return. Racing action continues on from the Iowa Speedway. Stay with us.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Just about to return to Green Flag Racing for the High Time Racing League Premier Series at the Iowa Speedway. Coming out turn numbers 3 and 4 with 47 to go. Once again, my name is Little Remble alongside Justin Prince as we get set to do it all over again. And I would not be surprised if we got back into the stop-start rhythm of the first half.
Kind of feeling like there's a chance for that. Off at the outside, able to get the fire off again. But everybody else going to figure out where is the caution roulette going to stand. Are we going to get any of them, or are we going to get all of them?
Still 2 wide for the number 2 spot, as well as all the back of the field. Looking for 3 wide. Nathaniel Lee down the inside of Caressel and James Yerger. Now Sean Williams getting into the mix as Yerger backs out. So Nathaniel Lee elbows out as he powers his way back into a top 10.
A little bit of close call with Caressel going back and forth on the lines. I think everybody's just trying to be aggressive here, knowing it's their first restart in a long while, a chance to see where the short run takes you. Big time to capitalize if you're a lot of these drivers with the way this race has flowed.
Well, we're able to get through the first 3 or 4 laps clean, so now we can try to settle into a rhythm from here to the end of the race. It's not going to be an easy rhythm, but it will be a rhythm nonetheless. 45 laps to go. Make that now 44. Caressel down the inside of Lee will take the 7th place spot back.
Some decent passing being done by a couple of the drivers here off the launch. Top 10, that broke it away from everybody else though. Rogaski, a little close call there in the battle pack going on with Yerger. Amongst those with the lap traffic, with the way the cautions have flown, only 12 are still in the lead lap here.
And Caressel back down the inside of Connor Gibson in the 31 entry. Looking to drive up around the outside line. So Gibson and Caressel still 6th and 7th as the number 40 and the 31 side by side. Working our way down the front straightaway. Gibson coming off the wall. Thought he might try to pinch the 40 down to keep him from pushing up the track. But he was able to pull back up and allowed for Caressel to make the corner proper.
So Andrea's saying if you want to take it, take it. That's what we're seeing with a couple of the drivers trying to zip their way through. But really, in the case of Triple, we know he's got race-winning speed with clean air, but the problem is Jane Hopp's taking it to an air level. A 10th or 2 quicker than everybody else has broken away from this pack.
So LaFrance, Nickerson, Triplett, and more all under a blanket as the 74 trying to see what he can do to continue his drive up towards the front end of the field. Trying to utilize that high outside line, but you see again how much that inside black tarmac helps out for Nicholas Caressel as he races on through and now trying to take another one from Nick Nickerson.
He's going to make the move stick. Caressel doing a phenomenal job because he's got a bit fresher tires. That 40 might be in an interesting spot here. try and plug away a solid finish after what's been a really rough night and an up and down start to the season. That 40 is going for second.
And Caressel, another one of these drivers that has been around for a good long while here in High Tide Racing League competition. Remember last season, had several phenomenal results and was right up there in the battle for the chase as well, was fighting for the top 5 in points for a good long while as well from a very strong season. However, this time around, it just hasn't necessarily been the same form. He is up into the number 2 spot, which would be his best finish since he won last September at Auto Club.
Kind of says how difficult in some cases the stretch has gone to be. It was basically attached to Sean Williams much of the way on the season in terms of pace. Now tonight, putting himself established pretty well. He's got a top 10 after all amidst that stretch.
Has so far made every race from the top of the field. That top 10 coming in from the Dover Motor Speedway just a few weeks ago. Bogaski tracking up from the inside as Gibson able to make something happen up on the top shelf. Up front, Nathaniel Lee, Ryan Flex side by side and contact out of turn number 4.
A little bit of wheel painting, if you will, yet again. 77's not been afraid to trade paint at times. Is he going to try and clear himself? No.
A lot of battling still yet to be had here as the field showing a lot of momentum here in the early going here. Triplett and LaFrance looking to go side by side as we hightail this one down the back straightaway. Triplett and Yerger continuing to race this one out. Connor LaFrance holding on to that final podium spot for the time being.
Right now, Triplett, Munsell just plugging away with his clean air lines he can pick up. Yerger, though, has been a disruptor here in terms of traffic management. Right now he's doing with a little bit of dirty air now off of LaFrance. That's going to hold him back a little bit. And Yerger isn't as fast as he needs to be to clear his way through. He's the lucky dog truck. The way things are going, he might be able to at least get nearly to his spot to unlap himself. But Yerger does get the movement, and now without feet clean, dirty air to the 07.
Connor LaFrance, who talked about him several times over the course of the championship, was expected to be a bit of a heavy hitter, and he has had a very up and down season so far, making his sixth start in High Tide Racing League competition. Has yet to achieve a podium, but he has finished in the top 5 3 times, once at the Glen, once at Natural, and once at Michigan, 5th, 4th, and 4th. Could he look to be on for his first podium of his High Tide Racing League career?
I mean, it's going to require getting not that happening. Triplett using a bit of the door. I think Triplett has the feeling he's got the better pace and is not afraid. Try and pressurize this 07 up the track. Nearly got a defender there.
And Connor LaFrance, you see him chop the nose, thinking, all right, well, if we're going to make contact, let me be a little bit brave here with this one. LaFrance, a driver we saw right from Daytona, not afraid to pull some nasty blocks. Triplett's not having it, forcing the issue. Bump and run in turns 1 and 2. Moves him up the track, trying to go for with 30 to go still.
Still can't get the way around here. Look at Triplett, though. Finally gets the clear. Parks it in front of LaFrance, and LaFrance didn't want to give it up. That nearly caused him to wreck in the 2. Gives him a break. They'll try it again.
LaFrance back to the inside, trying for the over-under, but Triplett has got some fresher rubber up on the top side by about 3 laps, and there's just nothing that the HendrickCars.com Silverado can do about it. And so Triplett pulls away with the 3rd place spot, and it looks like that first podium will be kept from LaFrance for one more week.
The very least, I think he'll still have a top 5, top 10 day with the way things are looking. But obviously, felt like things go a little bit more differently. Right now, that 07, going to try and defend as much as he can on the 2. Right now, Nickerson a little bit better on exits.
26 to go. Still a long way in this one as Nickerson now trying to look around the high side. Outside didn't work. How about a good old over-under? Right behind them, Connor Gibson and Ryan Fleck side by side. Sorry, Brandon Bogaski side by side with Connor Gibson. And now LaFrance falling victim to Nickerson in turn 3.
Yet again, the reset is on the send for the 2. Got alongside, got clear. Now Ryan Fleck under attack by lap traffic. And LaFrance will try one more attack attempt. I think Fleck get there potentially to rip away another spot as well.
Ryan Fleck having a fight with Michael Thorpe Jr. Thorpe's got almost 10 lap pressure tires than Fleck does, hence why we see him trying to cut through the field. Thorpe's got to be careful, right, though. He is all the way down at 22nd. 1 lap to make that 19 laps down. So realistically, Thorpe's not going to be able to make up much more ground. In fact, 5 laps from now, it'll be confirmed you can't make up any more positions, at least not from lead lap trucks. Last thing you want to do is be that far back and end up wiping somebody out on the lead lap while they're battling for position.
I mean, absolutely not. And right now, if you're some of these drivers, you're just trying to think, okay, we got only 22 to go coming up with the stripe. That's only about 10, 11 minutes or so at the high end. As long as you don't make mistakes, come away with a solid end of this race if I'm in that position to do so.
Still have 22 laps on the cards. It'll be 21 at the line. And starting to again settle into a bit of a rhythm here. It's been such a sharp contrast from the opening half to the second half, right? Only 1 yellow flag so far in the second half of this race, past lap 100. And we had like, what, a dozen in the opening 70 or 80 laps of this race?
Kind of wild with the way this race has gone, absolutely, Nolan. But I think this is kind of just the natural progression of Iowa, where you have chaos. And similar to that was seen in Blazing Pedals. Whoever's the leader, it's usually in the long run, gets to control things, and Jaden Haas been that way, where no one's been able to touch the double zero tonight.
$19 laps to go. We are very much in the end game. Fleck catches the outside wall. That opens up the door for Nathaniel Lee to go down the inside into turn 1. Lee going to track that one down to the bottom side. Tracking up now out of 2. And Lee is able to keep it off the door of Fleck. Ryan Fleck fighting for everything he's got, but no match for Nathaniel Lee, who clears on the inside. Up into 6th now.
We'll say I've liked what I've seen from that 77 in the last Parks race, at least. Good recovery. That's one of the things I guess you could say when you're new to a series. You want to come back and prove you're resilient to pressure and resilient to whatever's thrown at you.
Especially considering all the attrition that 77 has been through today. I mean, he has been put through the ringer time and time again. Finished 4th last week in his season series debut, and now racing 6th this afternoon. I'm sure it's not where he was wanting to be racing at, but given where he started the night, I wouldn't be complaining.
I wouldn't be either, absolutely. There is a little bit of chippiness on the radio, and really, I think some of the drivers are just ready to finish off this race as cleanly as they can to close out the night. Some people just trying to stay entertained, if you will, with the conversation.
Hey, sometimes you just need to figure something out, and you just need to get some things off your chest to keep yourselves entertained. It's been one of those nights, and I mean, you have to imagine a lot of drivers, I'm sure, were expecting this race to have been over a long time ago, but overall, gotta do what you gotta do sometimes when it comes to racing action here, and these guys have been doing a pretty decent job on still maintaining the gaps.
As well as making sure they don't have any major issues again this run after what's been a chaotic night in general. And some of the drivers are always saying on the radio in a lot of the cases, there's no pressure in your situation, there's no pressure for this, there's no pressure for anything. Right now, when we're coming to 13 laps to go, if you're in this part of the race, you try and get the one spot you can. In the case of 77, a chance for our top 5. Then you try and focus on next week.
LaFrance Lee still nose to tail as Nathaniel Lee trying to see if he can't get 2 top 5s to kick off his High Tide Racing League career. He is 0.3 of a second, 3.5 of a second behind Connor LaFrance. That truck's been looking evil, though, the last few laps. You've seen him kicking the tail end out off of turn 4 time and time again. He is really struggling to keep that truck underneath, though.
Yeah, look at how much he's just sending it in there. I think that's why he's also a little bit sharper on the gas. He keeps on trying to push the gas down and getting himself snapped loose. Had to get off of it there on the front stretch. Just a little aggressive on the throttle, and that's why Bogaski has been able to slip on by with that.
So Brandon Bogaski gets around him, putting Lee down now to the 7th place spot. So 777s for Lee. I'm sure he doesn't feel like those are lucky numbers right about now, but you may never know. Maybe they're luck in the form of he won't fall any further than that.
It's not a guarantee with the way things are stepping out for a couple of the drivers. I think the 2, though, definitely has the cushion. Good to go.
See Michael Thorpe Jr. backing off, trying to allow Nick Nickerson to race this one out with Wesley Triplett in the final laps. Thorpe knows he's got nothing to gain by overtaking the 2, so he's just going to run behind. I'm sure if Nickerson falls back enough, he'll go for the move, but for the time being, he's wanting to give him the chance to still get up there to race this one out for another spot. It's good sportsmanship.
Yeah, Thorpe Jr., I think, was hoping for a lot more of the carnage to continue. Didn't continue. Now in his situation, you're just happy the race is almost done. Focus on next week. Don't let whatever happened to stack you up in the instance happen again. Keep it clean for the next time.
Jaden Hobb way out in front. 2.5 seconds clear of Caressel. Already 2 wins so far on the season. Last one came from the National Super Speedway at the top of June. First one at the Glen. Looking to go for number 3. And what would end up being then a 50% win record throughout the championship so far. It's still early, but Jaden Hobb looking to be one of those seasons, right, where Hobb could easily run away with the points lead.
It's the machine he was using in RTP. And shouldn't be surprised that he knows exactly how to drive it. It's been phenomenal this entire season so far. He's keeping it up yet again. Early on, I think he's going to be very difficult to stop by the time he gets to the top of the championship.
5 laps to go for Jaden Hobb and the rest of the field. Nickerson up the track, nearly into the outside wall. Thorpe, I imagine, looking a little bit nervous. And again, I think Nickerson now having to worry more about defense because Connor LaFrance almost within striking distance here.
Yeah, LaFrance has done a good job on the dig, but really beating Seddon here. I think right now, the 2 just has to make sure he doesn't get held up too much here once that 34 gets alongside in the next moments or so.
Connor LaFrance still racing this one out. 3 to go. LaFrance now going to have to look down the inside of Thorpe. Thorpe's going to lift out to allow these guys to get through to race it out amongst themselves. Bogaski getting clear as well. It'll be 2 to go at the line, but most fights I don't think are going to amount to much, save for maybe a Lee and Fleck here in the final laps.
Yeah, Fleck just providing a little bit of pressure, closing up here. Got loose. Fleck holding on to it. Nearly got turned around off Foster.
They're able to hold it. That would have been an incident that forces this race into overtime, but with Jaden Hopp coming around, turn numbers 3 and 4, he'll take the white flag. 1 lap to go for the old school racers, 0-0. It's been a good start to the season for him. It was looking a little rocky at times. He does have 1 DNF on the cards, but regardless, he'll look to go for win number 3 of the season. And yet again, Jaden Hopp from the back to the front as he takes win number 3 of the campaign.
Great second half of the race for Hopp. Got track position, ran away with it. Carreso a triplet on that podium, though. Great drive for the 40. 21 spots gained for him, too.
And how about Nicholas Carreso, by the way, coming home with a second place on the day, his first podium, again, since he won at the Auto Club race all the way back for race 2 of season number 5. So Carreso is going to be having a very happy day at the office here indeed. Wesley Triplett as well, taking another podium, and I'm sure he's still thinking about what could have been after he and Ryan Fleck dominated the opening 50 laps.
Yeah, especially since if they came down 1 caution earlier, we might be talking about Triplett dominating this race with the way things were. But once you gave Hopp the chance to run away with the clean air, there's no way to turn it around. Hopp just had the speed once you let him breathe up front.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Overall, it was a bit of an intense run for this field. And we're going to look set to see once again how the field shakes on up after another wild one here from the Iowa Speedway. It started off rocky, finished off pretty darn good, though. Coming home, it's Jaden Hopp, win number 3 of the season so far. Carreso, his first podium since coming home number 1 in November of last year. And, of course, Wesley Triplett with yet another podium of the campaign as well. I'm sure he's still happy with his performance this afternoon. Nick Dickerson in 4th, LaFrance in 5th, Bogaski 6th, Lee, Fleck, Williams, and Gibson for the top 10.
11th with the way of Dustin Ping. The last in the lead lap was Eddie Hagee. James Yerger was 1 lap down tonight with Kevin Foster and Io Van Kempen down in 15th lap down. Wesley Peebles was 2 down with Barry and Marasco. Richardson and Dees, your top 20.
And down to the field, the last cars to finish this race were Kaden Gargiulo, Michael Thorpe Jr., Benjamin Lacey, Scott Shire, Robert Lukens, and Larry Bell, all finishing this race in the garage. Quite the race that we had on the afternoon. Let's get a chit-chat in here to the drivers that finished this race. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 on the afternoon, and we'll kick things off first and foremost with Jaden Hopp, the driver that comes home number 1 on the afternoon. And it's going to be his 3rd win of the campaign so far. Jaden, another last to first challenge, and yet again, you find yourself on top. Talk us through this one.
Well, it was definitely a chaotic one, especially there at the beginning. We were able to avoid most of the chaos, unfortunately. I feel like especially Thorpe and Ben were going to be pretty quick in that, so sad to see them taken out of the race like that, but it ended up working out pretty good for me. I was able to get by Wesley on a little bit of a strategy call, so that helped a lot. And then after that, we went green for the rest of the way, so it's kind of just chipping away, making sure the truck drove well and all that stuff, and then got the caution at the very end. Carreso was doing pretty good there. He had me sweating for a minute because he was catching me by like a 10th or so lap, so it was getting in. I thought it was gonna get interesting, but was able to hold it off from there and cruise to the victory.
Well, next race just around the corner. It'll be a trip out to the Kansas Speedway. What's going to be the game plan when we go race for 135 a week from today?
I think probably more of the same. Keep the truck clean. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of Kansas, but I think the race will go pretty well. Just like I said, keep the truck clean, be there at the end, and should be a fun one. I think that track usually puts on pretty good racing, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we'll get set to see you again next week. Congratulations on your 3rd win this season, 23rd of your career, and we'll talk to you again next week in Kansas, no doubt.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys again next week.
Jaden Hopp coming home number 1 on the day. Justin, you've caught up with Carreso with his first podium since November last year.
Yes, indeed. And Nicholas, talk us through this one as we're involved in incidents. We're in the back for early parts of the race, but you find your way up to the front for your first podium since last year. Talk to us about how this race went for you.
A lot of luck in this one. Planning on staying back there with Scott at the beginning of the run, just running the back, try to save some tire, work our way forward. But with all the cautions, I just kept on getting fuel, and then that long green flag run happened, and I just said, well, got to do something different. So I just stayed out as long as I could and caught that caution at the right time. Coming back on 15, 20 lap newer tires than the leaders helped me out a lot. But of course, you're not going to catch Jaden Hopp. Heaven forbid that happen.
And really, how would you describe the feel of this track throughout the course of the evening as you're trying to make your way back up after having to fix the door damage?
Yeah, I was a little concerned about that. The crew chief said we couldn't fix all the damage, so I was kind of worried about it. But I mean, the truck ran tight into the corner every single run. You had to really roll the middle because it was really tight. And if you got on the gas too hard, the back end would kick out and you'd burn your right rear. So it was kind of a choice of burn off your right front or burn off your right rear. So I just took it really easy and took care of both, and it worked out for us.
How do you feel about Kansas next week?
I wasn't even feeling confident coming in today, so I'm just gonna draw no confidence for next week and see what happens.
Any shout you'd like to give here tonight?
Just shout out to the guys that are in the Discord, Jaden, Scott, and Sean. It's fun to hang out with those guys. We've been racing with each other for a really long time, and always good guys to hang out with. But everybody helps each other, and it's really fun to do. And we got KFC on the truck. It's a throwback scheme to a dirt late model of my dad's favorite driver back from when I was a kid. So it's fun to run those schemes and make those paint jobs.
Congratulations on the run tonight.
Appreciate it.
Nicholas Carreso coming away second tonight in this one. Was triplet. It looked like it would be his race tonight. Instead, he finishes third in the one.
And with that, he sweeps the podium. Took a win earlier this season with the second place. You've now had finishes on all 3 steps here, Wesley. So how's it feeling with yet another strong finish here at Iowa?
Pretty good, man. We stayed out for the stage points, and that, I feel like that was just enough to propel Jaden to the lead. And with that clean air, I ain't had nothing for that man on the long run. They battled me so hard, but I enjoyed it. It was a fun race. I think most of us is wore out like hell, but it feels good to get another podium. Come talk to you guys.
Well, we look forward. Obviously, Kansas Speedway is just around the corner. You guys have shown some speed at the 1.5 miles. Of course, you were looking to have a strong finish as well in Nashville a little while ago. You and Fleck were doing particularly well here in the early run as well. Kansas, how does it agree with you guys?
Kansas is like one of my favorite tracks. I don't know if you remember, but when I jumped in with y'all last season in the High Tide Racing League, I kind of jumped in and started a ruckus winning at Kansas. So I hope I can do that again next week.
Well,
the trucks though, man, they're so aero dependent. Like you could run better, like way better lines and tire save and be faster than the guy in front of you. But as soon as you get beside somebody, it's so easy to hold somebody up. So I don't know if we're gonna try to qualify up front and stay up there. That's the plan.
Well, you guys have shown a lot of good speed. The race win has remained ever elusive so far. Of course, you were able to take one a little while ago at Dover. Do you guys reckon there's another one in the near future?
Oh yeah, man. We ain't gonna let Jaden bully us too much for the whole season. I'll let him slip by this time, but might have something for him next week.
Wish you the best of luck then next week at the Kansas Speedway. Congratulations on coming home third, and we'll see you next time out.
I appreciate y'all, man. Key.
Wesley Triplett coming home number 3 this afternoon. And Justin, that's going to do it for our show here on the afternoon. What a show! And after a long afternoon, Jaden Hopp win number 3. And the question yet again becomes, who's got an answer for him at Kansas? One driver might. Wesley Triplett. He took the win last time out.
Might be a good opportunity for him next time we go there, absolutely. But, I mean, Jaden Hopp, as soon as you let him have the chance to lead laps, proved why he's been so difficult to stop in this series. Pulled away, ran away, untouchable. By the way, these are the most laps led he's raced by far in a race. He only had 37 laps led coming into tonight.
Showing that even Jaden Hopp could find himself vulnerable in a few weeks. There's a hot race coming up at Kansas. He says Kansas doesn't agree with him. Wesley Triplett, one of his favorite tracks. We'll see what the game plan is going to be when we go racing next time out. Before we get to that, more action still to come. Iowa returns tomorrow for the Silver Fox Racing Late Model Championship, while the Mid-Atlantic Race Series heads to the sister track over in Virginia. PSR hits the brand new Qualicum Circuit in Davis Coronado on Wednesday alongside the Beer League, closing out their championship at Road Atlanta. And to cap off our road course race this week, don't forget to check out the Abruzzi 6 Hours of the Glen for the VSCA Sports Car Championship. That will be coming up on Saturday. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflag.tv. My name has been Ola Ramble alongside Justin Prince. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you all next time when we go racing for more at Kansas.